Okay, this is transform properties and duplication. I'm going to, while my mouse is over my 3D area here, hit Control Up arrow, get this into full screen. If by chance you don't have this screen, hit Control Up arrow again, and make sure that your mouse is over this area with the cube. Hit Control Up arrow, and you'll be in full screen mode. Now, as you notice, we have a graph in front of us, and if you've watched my previous tutorials, you know that this is going up just like a regular graph. This yellow here is actually the y-axis. It's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and going down is negative 1, 2, 3, 4. Same if you go to the right here on this red line, which is the x-axis, right and left. Now, if I put my middle mouse button, or I put my mouse in the right in the middle of the screen and click my middle mouse button, we'll see that you can rotate this view around, and really we know that it's in the center of the screen. Let's go ahead and hit the G button for grab, and we're going to move this now. Now, we see where it's at, but how do we know exactly where it's at numerically? If you hit the N button, this brings up our transform properties box. Now we'll see that it actually tells us the location for the X, Y, and Z axis, our rotation, and our scale. Let's say that you want to center this cube. Go in here to our locations and click the number right in the middle, and you'll see that it highlights the number. Hit 0, tab, 0, tab, 0, and then enter, and we see that our cube has been centered. If you want to change this in increments, I never do this in practical application, but you can. If you just use these little arrows here, you can control where it's at. Another way you can is just simply by putting your mouse over the location X text there, and you can click it and drag to change those numbers. I never use that either. I'm going to click the number again, hit 0, enter. Our rotation, this gives us control on each axis. If you see it with on the x-axis, I do use this a lot. I don't use these arrows though. Sometimes I do in this aspect because I can go in increments of 10 by using the arrow. But normally I either want a 90-degree change, which you're not going to notice on the cube, or a 45-degree angle, which you'll notice. And if we want to just 45 everything, 45 the rotation Y, tab, 45 the rotation Z, tab, hit enter. Now we've basically put this thing on a 45-degree angle. I'm going to go ahead and put this back to 0. Now everything is back to 0. I'm going to go into View, Front, and let's say that I want to copy and paste this cube. Well, we don't do that by the traditional copy mode, Windows Control-C, Control-V, or copy and paste. It's called duplicating. And how you duplicate is by hitting Shift and the D button, and then move your mouse around, and you see you have another duplicated cube we have here. So we can move this arbitrarily, or I can hit X and move it on the X-axis, Y, move it on the Y-axis, which you can't see because we're looking at it from the top view, or Z, move it on the Z-axis. I'm going to move it up on the Z-axis here. I'm going to hit my left mouse button. Then I'm going to hit A. The A button can select all or deselect all. So if I hit A, again, you'll see that everything is selected here, including my camera, my lamp, and my 2 cubes. I'm going to hit A again, and there's a couple ways of selecting multiple objects in Blender. One way is just like in Windows, you hold the Shift button and you right click the item. So we're going to right click my first cube, then I'm going to hit it's not suggestible to have Shift down when you select your first item, simply because if something else is selected, it's going to include that in your selection. So your first selection, Do not hold the shift key down. After you select the cube, hit shift, select the second cube. Okay, with both cubes selected, if you hit the shift D, now we'll see that we have duplicated both objects. I'm going to hit X, bring it over on the X axis here, and I'm going to use my middle mouse button, move this around. Now if you select each individual cube, you'll see its location here, our transform properties. Okay, if you'd like to see more of my tutorials, you can go to www.iwideopenmedia.com/blender. Thank you very much.